about the Foundation for International Community Assistance, FINCA as you called it.
Right.
What do they do?
Well, FINCA is a microfinance organization which a lot of people have heard about recently because of Muhammad Yunus's Nobel Peace Prize for his project in Bangladesh, the Grameen Bank. FINCA is a similar structure which relies on the principle of village banking. So they go into a village in a developing nation, try and find people who are under $3 a day, and hopefully even those who are under $2 a day, because it's really trying to reach the poorest of the poor, and offering banking services to them so that they have the access to get capital for loans, they can get insurance, they can get access to things that we don't even question having access to. And what they found over the years is that poor people do not have access to banks because banks don't want them in their lobbies. It's not because they're not good clients. They're incredibly resourceful and responsible clients. These the FINCA clients pay back their loans at 97–98% rates, which is better than, you know, rich people in wealthy nations. So you really just see it's not even a charity so much as just making equal opportunity.
You recently went on a trip to see, you know, how it's set up yourself, and you're working on a documentary about some of these women.
I was in Mexico recently, in like Cuernavaca, a little bit outside of Mexico City, where we visited some of the clients to sort of tell their stories. And this has been my 4th trip with FINCA. I've visited with them in Ecuador and Uganda and Guatemala, and every time it's just so striking, the passion with which these women lead their lives, and the I guess the hope that they, you know, can sort of focus toward making a better future, a better life for themselves. I met a woman in Mexico who had 2 children. Her husband had to leave to the United States to go work because there was just no work in the town. There was no way to make money. So he was gone. She couldn't see him. They had no money. She had these 2 little babies at home. She can't read or write. And she started with FINCA while he was away, and now she runs her own business of, she makes like clay pottery, and she now employs her husband and 7 other people in their village, and they've adopted their neighbor's child because one of the parents passed away and the other one couldn't afford to pay for them. And so you see how an entire community is affected just by one woman, and it's a group of 20 women in that community who are running similar businesses. And I think one of the things that's most striking is you ask them, you know, is there a limit to how big your business can grow? And uniformly across the board, every woman I've asked says no, there's no limit. And it's sort of surprising. You think in poor areas there must be, like, how much can you possibly sell? But there's a thriving market in all of these. It's sort of a consistent feature of you know, these villages in developing nations across the world, in different regions, different languages, different you know, different countries, different traditions, but there are these markets, and they're market societies, and it really, I mean, it can really, you know, sort of endlessly, infinitely grow for them, and it's incredible to witness.
You're serving as a co-chair for Queen Rania's FINCA New Village Banking Campaign,
Right.
which launches on May 2nd. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the campaign and what you hope it achieves.
Well, the new campaign is to hopefully spread village banking to make 100,000 new village banks. I think it's by 2010. And they're extending into new parts of the world. Right now, FINCA is in 20 different countries, and they're starting new initiatives throughout the Middle East, in former Soviet Union, Latin America, and Africa, and so they're starting some new programs, and the hope is to reach, there's still, although microfinance has been successful, there's still 2.5 billion people who it has not reached, who, you know, it is difficult to really get out into very rural parts and find these small villages where people live and help them, not help them, but bring them, you know, the opportunity if they wish to you know, start their businesses. And yeah, so it's to go into these new places in the world and also sort of raise awareness about microfinance and the possibility of, you know, changing the face of poverty.
That's great. What can people do to get involved if they're inspired by this interview, or you know, just if they can hear about it in other ways?
Well, there's a website. It's www.villagebanking.org, and you can go there if you want to read more about it, learn more about it, or donate money, because it's, you know, $50 is a woman's loan for, you know, it also repeats itself 3 times because a woman will pay it back every 3 or 4 months. So within a year, whatever money you use is recycled. Sort of, it ends up in helping 3 different people. And also, it's a really good sort of donation. It's you know, 91% of the money that you give goes directly to the people. The other is, you know, all the processing with the banks and everything. But that's a very high amount of what you're actually, in comparison to other, you know, nonprofits, of what you give that actually ends up with people.
And just lastly, what have you taken away from these women that you've met that maybe has affected your own life or changed the way that you live your own life or the way that you do your work?
But to actually get to sit down in a village with a woman who is, you know, is taking care of 10 children, and many of whom are afflicted with malaria or AIDS, and is running her own business and trying to make ends meet. And learning her story and seeing her smile and crack a joke, and it's a completely incredible opportunity just to meet another human being and see their sort of love for life and how much they can, you know, they're faced with unimaginable challenges and are still so motivated to work and to be proud of themselves and to make a world where their daughters are, you know, going on to, you know, better, brighter days.